important item in our show because this is a real quality of life issue. Brand new this week. If you or one of your loved ones are missing out on life, can't hear the television, you know, feels like you're talking to the kids and you can't hear what they're saying, we actually might have a solution for you. For GoHearing, this is a GoPrime hearing aids with the accessory kit. Because it's QVC, we have a great price point. Normally this would be about $25 more. We're going to do these for 5 easy payments of $60. Unlike other hearing aids that we've presented that all work great, this is for you if you don't want to use an app, you don't want to have a smartphone, you want the most simple hearing aids possible that really work. I'm here with my friend Brett Hamilton. He brings us all kinds of great electronics for fun, but this is one that's truly a quality of life issue.
Yeah, I mean, our serious moment, right? You think about how much we miss out on if we can't hear. We all know somebody, if it's not yourself, where you'll be at an event, you're at a party or whatever, and you're not engaged. You know that one person in your family that just kind of nods, and you're like, what's going on? Are they just not interested in what I'm saying? And the bottom line is, they're just tired of saying what. So what about, as you just mentioned, what about a hearing aid that isn't $3,000, $300 for a pair of hearing aids? My stepfather bought traditional hearing aids 5-6 years ago. He paid over $5,000.
And guess what?
And it didn't do the trick.
And guess what? He couldn't take them back, right?
Couldn't take them back.
Like, yeah. We actually, with this, still have our QVC return policy. So I want to put that right out there because for your loved one who spent $5,000 and, well, no, he doesn't love them.
Right.
Here, they're $300, 5 easy payments of $60, and of course we have that money back guarantee. If you don't love them, you get your money back. So these are going to be perfect for people who want to use these all day, every day.
Yep.
Just make them as, like, you get up in the morning, if you put your glasses on, you put your hearing aids in. But for some people, this is going to be just what you use when you're watching television, maybe when you're going to church. Think about, like, tomorrow, if you're having friends and family over, you would use them then.
Yeah, and I think there's that stigma that will always go along with hearing aids. People go, well, if they see them or they know I have a hearing aid, they think I'm old, they think I can't hear. Well, those days are over because as you look at these, in fact, take a shot down there. I'm going to put one right here because I want to show you guys something pretty cool. These are probably the equivalent of the size of an earbud. Now, the reason I'm showing you the back of the hearing aid is because this is how simple it is to use these. Let's see if I can find it here. I'm going to use this little tiny screwdriver right there. Let me tilt this a little more toward the camera. This one tiny button, that's it. This one multifunction button, Sandra, handles both the volume and the 3 available modes. What do I mean by that? By the way, those little metal circles, that's the magnetic tips, the little pieces, the contacts that allow you to recharge these. So there's no cost to use these. You don't have to get hearing aid batteries and stuff. Back to that button for a second. There are other hearing aids doing a fantastic job, and I bring them to you from the same company, HearX, which is Lexi and Bose and stuff like that, that requires an app. These don't, because when you push that button one time and you push it quick, just click, click, it increases the volume up to 8 different steps within the volume itself. Now, that same button right there, if you hold it down for 3 seconds, it'll beep in your ear. It's not a loud beep, it just tells you it's making a change. And it will change the modes. There's the normal mode, which it works out of the box. Then there's the high mode and the low mode. I mean, how many of us hear the world like this, right? Don't you wish you could hit a button and all of a sudden it would turn up the treble in your head, just like a car stereo. When you think about that, you get in the car and you're like, man, that's too much bass. It's boom, 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 boom. Well, when that's the way the world sounds to you, click that button. It'll open up the high end. Now, on the other hand, if everything is tinty and annoying, because as we get older, my dad, for example, not my stepfather, my dad who doesn't use hearing aids, always complains that the TV doesn't have enough bass, the music doesn't have enough bass. Turn up the bass, turn up. I'm like, Dad, music's fine. It's in your ears. So you can click that button again by holding it 3 seconds, and then you get more of the low end. So it's flat, it's high, or it's low. And that's the nice part about doing all this. So before I show you this really cool simulation,
let's
I'll
show
run
exactly
you
what
through.
we're going to get. Because if you're looking at this, you're like, well, there's a lot on that table that's not the hearing aids. Brett, walk me through everything we're getting for 5 easy payments of $60.
Well, obviously the most important is the left and the right hearing aid. Right is red, left is blue. Rechargeable case, which by the way, this case will hold up to 6 additional charges, which means you're talking about day after day after day before you have to plug them into the wall. We give you these wax guards because they're in your ears, right? There's wax buildup. These will help keep them clean. Additional tips, small, medium, and large. That's for comfort and also to
there's a lot of additional tips here too.
We give you
4 sets.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 additional sets for each size, brushes and all that good stuff. And then This is kind of genius. I didn't realize that hearing aids worn day in and day out build up moisture, right? Again, just like the wax. It's a little humidifier system that basically you drop this tablet into it, you open it up, drop it in, leave the hearing aids in there overnight, draws all the moisture out. So the maintenance is next to nothing with this.
That's interesting.
But the whole idea is, what is it going to do for the way that I hear? And obviously, there's no way for us to describe it any more than what we've done so far. So GoPrime put together this really cool simulation video. And what this will show you is a couple real-world scenarios of what it sounds like to hear it, with mild to moderate hearing loss. And then all of a sudden, click the button on, and now you can hear what you would hear. Check this out.
At the end of their long journey, our colony of penguin chicks have reached the ocean. They peer over the edge, waiting for the right moment, anticipating the dangers that await. Until finally, one of them jumps.
Hey, honey, do you hear that?
It sounds like a pair of cardinals.
Where are they? I hear them, but I don't see them.
Oh, I think they're coming.
Looking for our beer specials? So
Tonight, in addition to our usual lineup of IPAs, we've got some great new
there's a pale ale from one of our local
brewers. It's very crisp and citrusy, if that's what you're into.
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that is extraordinary and really priceless.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really proud of this price, 5 easy payments of $60, but really, this is the priceless piece in our show.
Yeah, and when you think about what you could pay for hearing aids, we're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars per ear, and still not sure that you're going to get the difference. You're not going to hear that difference. Now the opportunity for $300, so what, $1.50 an ear, to be able to, as you said at the beginning, Sandra, not necessarily, you can wear them all day long, but we showed you 3 very unique scenarios kind of in that conversation, watching TV, and then maybe just taking a walk with the dog or whatever it might be. Maybe you just need it for one of those.
Yeah.
And instead of spending $3,000 an ear to just use it for one, and by the way, I want to point out real quick, these are not just amplifiers. This is,
this is a real hearing aid.
They are. So this is an over-the-counter hearing aid, which, by the way, you do not need a prescription. You don't need to go to the doctor. You can do this on your own. But a world of difference between this and something that you would put by the bedside when you're watching TV that just turns up the noise. And what do I mean by, you always going to say, what do I mean by turn up the noise is many times you've got somebody, or maybe it's yourself, when you're watching TV, the natural reaction is when you can't understand it, is to turn up the volume. So all you're doing is turning up and making it louder, but it's not any cleaner.
Your dad always has the television up so loud, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the way to solve the problem. But the other cool thing is that there's a lot of technology, as you're going to see in this video, packed inside here that you and I don't need to know anything about. It does it on its own. And you go, well, how does this whole process work? Well, let's start with the fact that these are digital hearing aids, right? They're not just amplifiers. They're rechargeable, so you don't have to go buy the little tiny, those little tiny circles, those little hearing aid batteries, and that starts to add up after a while. Multiple days of use out of one charge, but charge them when you go to bed at night just like you would your cell phone. But then look at everything that's packed inside there. We give you the 3 different size tips. 2 sets of each of those tips for comfort and also for making sure that they form a little bit of a vacuum. And then once they pop in, listen, everybody and their mother's wearing earbuds now, whether at the grocery store or whatever it might be. This I want to talk about, digital channels and bands. What does that do? Well, I'll explain it in a second, but it basically refines each and every sound so that not everything gets louder, not everything gets turned up. What it does is the more bands and channels that a hearing aid has, the better. Right? So the higher that number of bands, the higher the number of channels. So that if you're at a restaurant, you can hear the conversation in front of you clear, but that doesn't necessarily mean that as you turn the volume up that the entire room will get louder. Or when you're watching TV, if there are certain sounds, and I keep going like this, and I'm like, well, all of a sudden it knows to enhance the dialogue. So all of a sudden you go, well, I don't have to have the TV as loud anymore, because now I can understand what they're saying at a normal level, and then the rest of the family doesn't go crazy because they're not like, turn it up, turn it down.
You might find that you get up in the morning and you immediately put these in and you just leave them in, but this might work for you or someone you care about for, just when they're out and about, or when they're, babysitting the grandkids or whatever it is. you actually already know if you or someone you care about needs these and in which situation, right? We actually have, I think, a graphic that we're going to put up here that talks about who this would help, how we know this would help.
Yeah, so you're talking about mild to moderate hearing loss, right? This is if it's severe or profound, you need to go see a doctor, and that's a whole different world. But talking to a professional is never a bad idea. But to your point, Sandra, there's a lot of people that don't realize that they need hearing aids. You know, as you look at some of the facts here and things to look out for, whether or not this is something that would work for you or whether it's a lot more severe, I want to point out that many of us just go through our day thinking that the TV needs to be louder, or that the person in front of me, I need to speak louder too, or they need to turn up the volume as we're having a conversation. That's not the case, right? It wasn't that way when you were in your teens. It wasn't that way 20s, 30s, whatever it might be. So as we get a little bit older and as our hearing starts to deteriorate a little bit, I think it's kind of like readers. Remember the first time, I don't know whether you wear readers or not, or glasses.
I don't go anywhere without readers.
But I can remember that moment. I was trying to look at, it was for an item that I was going to have on QVC, and I was trying to look for a model number on the bottom of a laptop. And I'm staring at it, and I was like, why can't I see this? And I took it up and put it right by the window, and then I thought, you know what? I can see a million miles away, but I can't see what's in front of me anymore. And I remember buying dollar store readers, and it was like, ooh, it was that epiphany. It's the same kind of thing, right? When it comes to hearing, little by little.
I couldn't read cans in the grocery store.
Yeah,
that's what I was like.
That's when you know,
why
right?
can't I read how much sodium's in here?
Sure.
So it's the same thing.
But the same thing goes for
But here's
hearing.
the thing. For me, I don't wear, I mean, you've never really seen me with my readers unless you're watching me do a live stream or something. I don't need to wear my readers on air. But when I'm not on air and when I'm making my notes, you better believe I have my readers on. This might be the same thing for you. You might not need them all the time, but there's going to be times where maybe you're watching television or you're with loved ones that you're going to want to have them. And, you know, to your point, I think it's so important that nobody thinks twice about people having things in their ears because all the kids have earbuds in their ears constantly now. There's just no stigma like there used to be.
Exactly, and these don't look like traditional hearing aids. In fact, if you walk, and you can see in this gentleman's ear right there, I mean, it looks like he's got an earbud in, a Bose earbud or AirPod or whatever it might be. The other nice thing, if you guys are just joining us, is that you don't need a smartphone. You don't need to adjust with an app.
There's no app,
There's no app. So what you can't see is this tiny little button, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it's about the size of a pinhead. I'm going to show you when we're done with this video how easy it is to not only adjust the volume on the go. And by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but I should have. You get to adjust the volume and the modes separately with each ear. I hear better out of my left ear than I do my right ear. So maybe you need one more notch of volume in one ear and one less, or, you know, your volume 6 here, your volume 8 here. But if you guys want to just take a look here real quick, I got to use this tiny little screwdriver. That's how small it is. There's a little button that lives right there. The rest of these are the charging tips. That little black button that you can barely see is this multifunction button, and it does two things. If you press it quickly, just like click, click, it'll turn up the volume. There's 8 different notches of volume. If you hold that button down for about 3 to 4 seconds, you'll hear a little boop, boop. That means it's changing the mode. When you take them out of the package, the mode is at normal. That's kind of like the factory setting. If you press it again for 3 or 4 seconds, it'll give you the high mode. Press it again, it'll give you the low mode. And what do I mean by that? Keep going back to this. If your world sounds like this, you press the high mode and all of a sudden it cleans everything up. But if everything is too tinty, like too much treble on your stereo, press it for the low mode and then give yourself a little bit more bottom end, and it kind of brings the fullness back, which again, a lot of us lose as we get a little bit older.
You know, it's kind of amazing what you can do on your own now.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Well, this, I mean, it's just,
right.
yeah.
So if you're watching this and this idea of buying hearing aids on QVC just seems like, what? Is that even, will they even work? Here's what I'm going to say to you. You have a 30-day
45.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you for correcting me. That's right. I'm so used to saying 30.
Yeah,
you have a 45-day money-back guarantee. If you don't love these, if you're not seeing a big improvement in the quality of your life, my goodness, get your money back. I mean, go with the easy pay. 5 easy payments of $60. Get them home. You have 45 days to try them. And if you don't love them, get your money back. You can spend thousands of dollars getting hearing aids that once you've purchased, there's no money back. There's no easy pay. Right. So this is really worth trying. So we actually have a video.
Yeah, I'll just set this up for you real quick. So this is a simulation that's the best we can do to show you or let you hear the difference between no hearing aids and what the GoPrime will do in the real world. Check this out.
At the end of their long journey, our colony of penguin chicks have reached the ocean. They peer over the edge, waiting for the right moment, anticipating the dangers that await. Until finally,